Sam Balsara, the founder and CMD of Madison World and Madison Communications. Sam, thanks so much for joining us today on ET. Now, to start with, how have ad spends been? What's the outlook been like, and your observations of how spends have been amidst COVID?
So let me give you some highlights of our report, which for the first time in a long time, we've issued an interim report because so much happened, especially in Q2 of this year. So according to us, AdEx has contracted in Q1 also by 8%, and it has collapsed in Q2 by as much as 65%. But the good news is that we are expecting AdEx to grow by as much as 60 to 72% in H2. And this is not just because it was suppressed in H1. We are also expecting H2 to grow over H2 19 by 6 to 13%. Now, if you separate out traditional media and digital media, then the news is that traditional media degrew as much by 71% in Q2, but it also degrew in Q1, which is generally not known, by 15%, and thus on the overall H1, it degrew by 47%. Digital media, which has generally been the poster boy of AdEx for the last several years, also could not withstand, the pressure of COVID, and it degrew by 35% in Q2, but it grew by 16% in Q1. In fact, it was the only medium that grew in Q1. And as a result of all this, when you put it together, you get a total degrowth of 39% in AdEx in H1. The good news is that TV and digital have returned and showed good signs of growth as early as June. And
why do you think certain categories like TV are seeing a spike in viewership did not translate into AdEx growth? How do you see TV ad growth specifically in the second half?
Well, that's simple because there was no advertising money available in the market. So that's why, in fact, additional viewership both in television and additional listenership in radio could not be monetized. But we are still, I would say, bullish on H2 because we feel that, enlightened advertisers know that advertising is the cheapest known medium to stimulate demand and also to grow and gain market share. And once market share is lost, it's very difficult or expensive to gain. And therefore, we think advertisers will come back in full form by H2. They will start trickling in H2 as they have in July, August. And by Q4, they will be in full form. In our estimate, print and I think, print lost almost half the advertisers. Of course, print has many advertisers. They lost half of them in April, May, June. And television lost a quarter of them in April, May, June. But they should all come back, we think, in full form by October of this year.
Okay, Sam, what's the future for digital as a medium? Are advertisers increasing their pie towards this medium versus traditional advertising?
Yes, I think certainly, the pandemic has given all digitalization and especially the advertising medium also a leg up. And therefore, we see the unprecedented happening, that is, digital has moved up in share. I think in our report, we estimated in 2019 it had a 23% share. In H1, it's moved up already to a 30% share. Of course, you must view this 30% share in light of the global phenomena that in many countries, digital is already the largest medium, higher than television. And in many countries, it's also crossed the 50% level.
What about cinemas? They have virtually come to a standstill. What did advertisers retain from this platform due to uncertainty prevailing over there? How will the ad growth recover there?
No, cinemas, it's very clear. The government has ordered cinemas shut. And now we believe even when they open, there is some talk we heard of, the government allowing only alternate rows and alternate seats to be filled, which would mean over 25% capacity. I think that would not count for much. It's only when cinemas, are allowed to function normally, I think advertising would get back to it, which I believe should be in Q4.
Okay, take us through the ad expenditure outlook for out of home and radio. How much were they impacted and what trends are you seeing?
So out of home and radio have also been severely affected. I think affected a little more than digital TV and print. But there again, we do see them substantially coming back by Q4.
Right. So, which are the categories of companies that have seen the biggest ad spend during the lockdown, and what do the long-term trends actually indicate?
So, we feel that the categories that have already done well in H1 will continue to do well. So predominantly they are, FMCG, auto, education, and now with its new segment, EduTech. I think these are the categories that will continue to do well. Obviously, in overall H2, retail will be subdued, but in Q4, retail should also bounce back. If you look at digital, then, quite a few categories have outperformed during the COVID quarter, that is Q2, which are what we call EFGH. E standing for e-commerce, entertainment, and edutech. F for food tech, fintech, and FMCG. G for gaming, groceries, and government. And H for health, tech, and healthcare. So these are the categories that will do well in H2 also.
Well, Sam, companies obviously have taken a huge hit. Their financials rather have taken quite a huge hit because of the lockdown. And ad spends across the board have reduced significantly. Is that a sign of worry?
Yes, of course, that is a worry, and that did happen very substantially in Q2. because of COVID, because of disruption in supply, because of poor sentiment. In our view, when people work from home and are not allowed to go to offices, sentiment is depressed. And this sentiment will come back to normal only when offices open and all the restrictions are removed. However, we think that, enlightened advertisers will do their level best in H2, and especially from September onwards, to give big doses of advertising to stimulate demand.
And for what does future trend for ad spend look like? Will you see pre-COVID level returning pretty soon?
So as we told you, we think, by the end of the year, we would have recorded TV and digital will record higher spends, than last year, even on a full year, on a H2 basis. I think radio, outdoor, and cinema will take possibly a little longer.
So much, sir, for taking out time for us. Always good to get perspective from you. Sam Balsara over there talking about the ad spend way ahead. What are their findings so far, which sectors, and how essentially you're seeing an increase in the ad spend, especially on the digital side. On that.